I basically played like in a probably one of the biggest like remote fight tournaments for Vanguard, Overdress, like in a good while. Like it had like an attendance of up to like 98 people who signed up for this tournament on like this Saturday, and a lot of people were coming in with like a lot of different decks. Like it wasn't like everyone going in with like their best, since it's overdress format. It's a lot more luck reliant, especially when it comes to the over trigger and such. For me, the deck I decided to bring with me is very much what was once the top dog. Oh, hello there. Sorry. I know. Okay. I'm sorry if like this isn't like interesting for you, but yeah, like we'll get into some zero content later on in the stream. Like I'm not gonna leave you high and dry. Like it's just like for like this weekend, this tournament was a different type of experience I didn't think I would have yet. Like maybe like around the time of like set 4 meta, maybe I could have felt this way with like my deck. Like see, like my deck was Magnolia with like its original ride line. Like all these guys here. And the fact that this tournament, instead of it being like a usual best of one but multiple rounds, it was a 7 rounds best like 7 rounds best of three, which meant that even if you lose the first round, even if you lose the first game, you still had two other chances to actually succeed. And for me, the first deck I went up against with is Gravidia. One of the decks I had the biggest issue with when it came to going up against players in the Bushy Rumble online competition all the way back in December, in which I was basically struggling against it with my set 3 Magnolia deck. But now with like set 4, and even with like the restriction on no inlet pulse, when I was going up against Gravidia, I actually managed a 2-0 against Gravidia, but only was because I literally got lucky with like my first game having like a 6 damage heal after taking 3 crit damage from a rear guard, and then during the second game, literally healed twice at 2 damage against their attacks, and then a third heal popped in when I took another attack from them. So literally, I was like lucky that I was taking attacks at that point, and they managed to pull out the win thanks to the over trigger during that second game. So basically, like this Gravidia list right here is a very typical one for set 4 standards, in which it basically focuses on crit pressure from the grade 3, and also about retiring a lot of rear guards. As for me, since I had prior experience with going up against Gravidias, even with a weaker Magnolia deck, I knew their main gimmick was literally retire my board just for the sake of the crits, and that's why I kept my board nearly as like un unfilled as possible until I was really trying to gun for like their fifth or sixth damages. That's what I was doing. So all in all, like this was indeed quite the interesting force I had to contend with. Now, next up on the docket is round two. Now, this is when I went from 2-0 to like starting to scrape by. My next opponent literally had a Bastion Prime deck, which I was like, ooh, that deck could easily mess me up if I'm not too quick. And basically I had to deal with like their set 4 like dragon, or the set 3 Lagriel when it comes to their multi attack. I see. You only played one card game in your life? Gotcha. Yeah. Vanguard's a lot more hectic when it comes to like whether or not you win or lose depending on the luck of the draw. In my case, I was dealing with like their oncoming attacks and restanding like grade 3 board for like one game, which cost me a loss. But then during this was during like the second round. Sorry, the second game. but the first and third round, I was able to rush them down to like kill them before they even got a chance to defend themselves because Bastion players' weakness is literally if they don't get like the grade 3 that helps them be defensive, um, or in this case like a grade 3 that could assist them in defense. Like let's see, wait, no, not that one. Yep, this one. This one is the current new defender. Before it was like an angel unit. Now it is Embrace Dragon, which if you're on the grade 4, it's a 20k shield instead of 10k only. So that's a very interesting tech to put into like a Bastion decks. Uh huh. Thanks very much, Gilgamesh. Now, um, now like this opponent was quite strong indeed. Like but I was able to survive thankfully. So we can now move on to the next opponent here, which will be another Gravidia deck. Surprising, and this one was also a victory here. Like 3 straight wins in a row. Like I couldn't even believe it myself. Like I was on a hot streak in this tournament in which like knowing what I have to do against it, this deck is slightly different just because of like the grade 2 inclusion here of Rick, which helps it like accrue meteorites from their drop zone if their attack hits. So I had to block their attacks just so that they wouldn't accelerate their gains. But also, this wasn't just any Gravidia list. This was a Gravidia World deck list. So this is one of those decks that was really spicy all the way back in the first Bro event, popularized by a popular Vanguard YouTuber by the name of Solemn Vanguard. He very much popularized like this awesome combination of cards of like both Orphis and Orphis support with the Gravidia deck to make for like a quite efficient like power lines and having like a free 15k beater on the board until like it gets retired from following all these steps. It was a tough match, but I still won it 2-1 against this Gravidia World player. Yeah, so we now move on over to round 4. And round 4 was the more interesting player, Dragonic Overlord. Yep, Overlord was beating me up, no two ways about it. And with the end from the 5th set, it was getting 4 drive checks as soon as it gets to the end. Quite fierce, quite powerful, and even having the defensive pressure in the form of the Fushimachi Mother class. These cards would basically allow for like the Overlord player to be able to attack fiercely and also be able to pop one of my rear guards depending whether or not if I'm protected or not, or whether or not if I had 3 or more than 3 rear guards, so that they can minus my attack potential for next turn, which really did suck. And then with like the onboard like power skills of Nahalam or Berserk Dragon, or even their Ethans, it's literally is like a fierce deck that like won't stop until like you don't let them have any rear guards for them to attack against. Which is why I was going for full on back row attacking when it comes to dealing with like the Overlord deck. Man, I just really enjoy like going for like a different strats when playing with like these certain decks. You know, I'm just like it's it was something quite passionate like with me like during the games, like in which like my second round opponent who played Bastion was like thanking me for like having like enthusiasm for the game and like this. And I really do want to still keep my like enthusiasm for like Vanguard, but also for life as well. Even despite the difficulties or times that some people don't listen, I just really feel like myself, and this tournament like gave me the chance for me to feel like actually like a top player. Ever since like a Bro 2021, I literally got that compliment from like one of the beta testers for like one of the Vanguard YouTubers, like saying like I was one of the best Magnolia players they ever faced. And then sticking with like my only gun tier because I'm basically dirt poor. I nearly could have gone in there and could have gotten like a free mat with some money. That was how close I was, and I really wanted to get that. Unfortunately, life did not tended too well to like my desires when it came to the rest of the tournament. As round 5 proved to me that I had to fight against the best of the best. Or at least who was the best of the best before they dropped. That being Human. A player who was undefeated at that point and was playing Grade 4 Kyrie. A lyrical monasterial deck based on their trial deck. And Kyrie is Lyrical's answer to Magnolia in the form of like multi attacks, but also being able to bounce and having a massive hand size. And that was the biggest plus that they had against me. During the first game, I made a miscalculation in my plays, which costed me like one extra attack with like a major crit power, in which I could have gotten them to lower more of their cards. But even then, the opponent revealed to me he literally had the over trigger on top. And that just crushed my soul, but also motivated me at the same time. It was very much it was very much quite the realization that I had to take it with grace. I had to accept the fact that like even if I played optimally, I still would have gotten screwed over by the over trigger. So I had to take that first loss, and then during the second game, I was persona stuck. I had no grade threes and no grade fours in hand, so I couldn't even persona ride for massive attack power or multi attack more than 4 times. It was the worst, and I just felt bad, but I had to still keep it on with a brave face, even despite it all. In the end, that was my first loss in the tournament against Human. He was a great opponent, and I wish them the best for like the rest of the tournament. And then the next opponent was the third ranked player at the time, Iki Irie. And basically, we had to duke it out against each other. And he also brought out Grade 4 Kyrie. And similar results. It was basically the same result in which I lost 2-0. And I just felt like Kyrie was not the best matchup against Magnolia. It really felt horrible that Kyrie was beating me up so badly. Like, I don't know what else could I do to improve the deck because without Inlet to like help me with like increased hand size, Magnolia had that big weakness there. And then afterwards, I had to deal with one final match. But this final match was going to be televised on Vision streams, and I was shocked. This was going to be the case. The fact that people were actually going to go see me play made me feel really happy. But then it showed like a big problem that was showing up in a couple of like my games before, like while I was like playing that game, in which my setup with like my current laptop here makes for a very small workspace for me to be able to like show my entire field for Vanguard, which sucks. And I had a couple of warnings because of it. It was terrible. It was terrible. Like, I didn't get disqualified or anything like that, but I just felt bad that it was happening because one of them was kind of because I was interrupted by family. since the tournament was going on for more than I thought, since I was going on a hot streak and motivating my family members about it. But and here's the thing. I really felt like I was gonna have it here since I was going up against Zorga, and I had experience against Zorga, IRL, like playing against it. Problem was, I was dealing with Grave Zorga, and I very much got the short end of the stick when it came to like first game, not being able to like draw PGs enough to save my life, or guarding incorrectly against the Vanguard, thinking that they were going to get a crit when they still had two rear guards that had on crit. Really let me down during the first game. Second game, in which I barely squeaked by because like of my players, my opponents like misplay. They said was quite fierce in the fact that I top decked my over trigger on a ride line call, and I still kept myself like composed, making sure that like I couldn't let that detract from me or deter me from like being able to play the best I could possibly. And in a long slug out brawl, I was able to pull out like a win with like the multi attack after like they nearly decked themselves out. In fact, that was a couple of results during the tournament in which I got my opponents to deck out because of how much they were drawing before. Quite intense this tournament was. But then the third game happened. They went first. I did not draw any. I did not draw more than one plan or prevent dragon to help me in this case, and I didn't have enough to guard their last rear guard attack with the crit. So I had to bank on like for a heal trigger on their Vanguard swing, and it didn't come up. I lost, and that was it for me. I felt distraught. I didn't want to entertain myself with videos or music or anything for the next hour. Just distracting myself with like just cooking for the family, you know? Just not think about what happened because I was so hyped up, thinking like maybe this time I could actually be someone. Maybe this time I could actually become popular, you know? Just doing something I love like this. Like I feel stuck here, and I just wanted to be better, just so that like people could talk to me more. I could maybe grow a bit of like a fan base just to talk to other people, like encourage the world with like my enthusiasm, passion. I feel like this tournament was only like a small step as a result, but man, if this was the precursor for this weekend, bro, I don't know if I could change anything in my deck right now, except for maybe I don't know, based on like advice from like opponents or even like people I was playtesting against. Maybe if I could get the Rorolas ride line just to token generate, so I don't top deck call. Maybe that could work, but that's really it. I really think like my deck right now, the way that it's like a weird mishmash of like original grade 3 Magnolia's Persona Ride deck mechanics, and not even going for the order ride line with Zorga's ride line. It makes for a very interesting deck of like I'm focusing on the attack. I'm still gonna have units on the board, even if I have to overcall some stuff. Yeah, and here's my most important MVP for like this entire dang tournament. Gnosla, the triple R from set 1. This unit literally saved me so many times. Like, I just couldn't believe like how many times I really needed him, and when I had to mass call him for the sake of like the grade 4 turns, just for the sake of pushing in all that attack power during those times. I literally worked hard worked hard at being able to hope for like the best mills when it came to like also with like this other card here. The only order I play in this deck, that being Wild Intelligence. The fact that I only milled the over trigger once in the entire tournament with this card really showed how much luck was on my side here. I banked on it even twice in some cases, just to keep on filling in the board when I was still in Magnolia. Grade 3 Magnolia. And I only used it once on Grade 4 Magnolia for the sake of like being able to like just bring in like one unit, just bring in Panthero just to like incur the revival of the other Pantheros. Yeah. Yeah, but really like my most frequent attacker has to be Panthero. Set 4 did us justice with that card. It's a very unique card of like 14k attacker, but on grade 4 turns, 19k attacker. Really can make the difference when it comes to forcing your opponent to drop 10k or 15k guards. Uh, and then I also have to rely on my original ride line for the sake of like attackers as well. Like even Lattice got a chance to shine for an attack, going for 35,000. Like intense. Oh, man, I just love tournaments like this, you know? Like